Have you ever watched a newborn baby lying in a crib, eyes closed, completely still, and then suddenly, the moment their mother speaks, their tiny face shifts, their lips twitch, and their whole body seems to relax like something inside them just whispered, "You're safe now?" That one moment holds one of the most breathtaking secrets in all of human psychology. And today, we are going to unlock it together. Welcome to Mind Nest Babies, and today, we are diving deep into the question that seems so simple but carries so much weight. Why do babies love familiar voices? Because the answer is not just beautiful. It is going to change the way you think about the very first moments of human life forever. Let us go back to the very beginning. Not birth, but before birth. Inside the womb, a growing baby is not sitting in silence. The world outside is constantly making noise, muffled and distant, like listening to music through a wall. But through all that muffled sound, one voice rises above the rest, clear and warm and constant, the mother's voice. And here is the part that will genuinely stop you in your tracks. Scientists have discovered that babies begin learning to recognize their mother's voice as early as the third trimester, while they are still inside the womb. The research from the University of North Carolina found that by around 32 weeks of pregnancy, the baby's heart rate actually changes when it hears the mother's voice. It slows down, it becomes calm. The baby is already responding. The baby is already listening. And in that listening, something extraordinary is being built. The very first relationship a human being will ever have. Now here is where it gets even more fascinating. And this is the first twist that catches most people off guard. It is not just about the voice being pleasant or soothing. It is about something called neural imprinting, the way the brain literally carves out a path for familiar things and labels them as safe. When a baby hears a familiar voice, their brain releases a tiny flood of chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, the same chemicals connected to love, to comfort, to belonging. It is the brain saying, without words, "I know this. This is mine. This is home." And this starts happening months before the baby even takes their first breath. So by the time a baby is born, they are not meeting their mother for the first time. In a very real neurological sense, they already know her. Picture this moment. A baby is born, crying, overwhelmed by lights and coldness and the shock of the world. The nurse places them on their mother's chest, and the mother whispers their name for the first time out loud. And just like that, the crying softens. The tiny fists unclench. The baby turns their head toward the voice. Not because they were told to, not because they decided to, but because the brain, even in those very first seconds of life outside the womb, is already running a recognition program. It is scanning the environment, searching through the chaos, and the moment it finds that familiar frequency, it sends out one signal: calm down. You are home. This is not poetic imagination. This is neuroscience. But here is the second twist, and this one is even more surprising. Fathers' voices matter too, but in a completely different way. Studies show that when a father talks to their baby regularly during pregnancy, the newborn recognizes that voice at birth as well. What changes is the emotional effect. The mother's voice tends to calm. It activates the calming circuits. The father's voice, interestingly, tends to stimulate. It activates curiosity and alertness in the baby. So, familiar voices are not just one kind of comfort. They are a whole emotional vocabulary the baby is already building before they are even born. The people who speak to a baby in those early months are not just making noise. They are literally shaping the architecture of that child's brain. And this is where we arrive at something that feels almost impossible to fully take in. When a parent reads to their unborn child, sings to them, tells them stories about the world they are about to enter, the baby is not just hearing sounds. They are forming the very first map of who they can trust. They are building the foundation of what psychologists call attachment, the deep, invisible bond that will shape how that child connects with others for the rest of their life. The familiar voice is not just a comfort in the moment. It is the blueprint for safety itself. It is the first answer to the most important question any human being ever asks. Am I loved? And the answer comes not in words, but in a voice. A specific voice, a familiar voice. Think about what this means for everyday life. Every time you talk to your baby, not doing anything special, just narrating what you are making for dinner, describing the clouds outside the window, humming an old song you half remember. You are doing something profound. You are adding another thread to the invisible fabric of security that your child will carry with them through their entire life. There is no such thing as a wasted word when you speak to a baby. Every sound is data. Every tone is information. Every familiar voice is another brick in the foundation of who they are becoming. And here is the thought that ties it all together. The reason babies love familiar voices is not just biological instinct, although it is that too. It is something deeper. It is the very first experience of being known. Before a baby can see clearly, before they understand language, before they can hold their own head up, they know a voice. And in knowing that voice, they know, on the most primal level possible, that they are not alone. That is not just developmental psychology. That is the beginning of every human story ever told. You were once that baby, and somewhere in the deepest part of your brain, there is a voice, maybe your mother's, maybe your father's, maybe someone who held you close when you were small. And when you hear it, something in you still goes quiet. Something in you still comes home. Because that is what familiar voices do. They do not just reach the ears. They reach the part of us that was listening long before we even knew we were alive. If this gave you chills, if this made you think about the tiny human in your life differently, share this with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Mind Nest Babies for more mind secrets like this. Because the science of early life is more magical than most of us ever imagined.